you're running hard or you're lifting weights, or with me, it wouldn't be even running hard. It'd be like kind of walking fast when you get older. But what happens is that you use up all your energy in your muscles, and then you need more energy. So do you just die then? Nope. We have extra energy on board, some of us more than others, right? Extra energy is stored in the muscles it's called glycogen, starch. And what the body does when it runs out of energy, like when we're running and we run out of energy, all of a sudden it'll say, I need more energy. So it'll break down the starch into energy for you. So you keep on going. And that's what marathon runners do. They just keep on getting energy and energy and energy. But that stress that you're talking about, what happens then is if you break down the energy, there's a thing called lactic acid. Anybody ever had sore muscles the next day after you've worked hard? I have. Anybody else? Anybody never worked hard? Are we recording now? Should I stand in front of here? Or does it matter?
It doesn't matter.
All right. If you have sore muscles, that is lactic acid left in your muscles. When you're breaking down anaerobic energy, you have lactic acid left in your muscles. And so when you're handling a pig, you can excite them too much, and they go into anaerobic exercise and produce a lot of lactic acid. In fact, when the hog barns, when they're loading trucks, they'll sometimes get a pig that's so overworked with too much lactic acid that the pig will not function. It'll just, boom, it'll just go down and lay there. And they call that a fatigue pig. Not really fatigued, it's just way, 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 way too much lactic acid. Lactic acid is really bad right before you sell the pig. Because at the harvest plant, they exsanguinate the pig, which means they kill them, right, and take the blood out. And when you take the blood out, there's no way for lactic acid to get out of the muscles. And that lactic acid stays in the muscles, which is the loin and the ham, and it denatures the meat. And so you end up with a very, very tough pork chop. If right before you load the pigs, or when you load the pigs on the truck to go to harvest, if they get overexcited, that will make the pork chop tougher. And so the 57% of you that said, yes, definitely, that's why it makes the pork chop tougher. Because the lactic acid denatures the muscle fibers, and then it won't hold water. Used to be when I was a kid, they used to say to hogs, about hogs, and living high on the hog. You ever heard that term? Anybody know what that means? Used to be that the top part of the hog, that's where the pork chops are, and the rib chops and T-bone chops are right at the top, and that used to be the most valuable part of the pig. Back when I was growing up, and people just like living high on the hog means you were eating the valuable parts of the pig. Today, because we have learned how to handle our pigs correctly, and we do anaerobic exercise so often now, and these pigs, they really go into anaerobic because they're so lean and muscular, they go faster into anaerobic exercise, that it makes the pork chops tougher. And people don't pay a lot of money for tough pork chops. In fact, they rather buy bacon, which is the bottom of the pig, which has some flavor and some fat with it yet. And so the tough pork chop is basically part of the meat tenderness. So muscles need, this is what I was talking about, onboard energy, anaerobic and aerobic. When you're handling your pig, you want to stay calm with pig. And never lose your temper on a pig, even though a pig can be stubborn. Anybody seen a stubborn pig? You know, but part of learning how to handle pigs is to be calm and to work with them like aerobic exercise. And so walking them and getting them used to you is part of the project. So they're not afraid of you, and they're not as afraid when they get into the show ring. It's all good things. So I got a little graphic that shows this is the energy in a muscle that's called ATP. And when the muscle's working like crazy, right, there's the glycogen, which is the carbohydrate or the starch that the muscle breaks down when you're working like crazy. And then you produce the ATP, but your byproduct is lactic acid, which can denature the meat. And excess lactic acid is really bad for a pig. I mean, like I said, if you really overstimulate a pig, he will stop functioning. He'll just too much acid in the system, and he'll just you ask any farmer that's tried to load pigs before, you say, have you ever had a pig that just stops and just lays down in the alleyway and doesn't move? And that's what's happening to that pig. It's just way overstimulated with too much lactic acid in its system. All right, moving pigs. There's the circle around a pig in this diagram. What would you call that? And you got 6 things to guess. Is it the point of balance? Is it the territory? Is it a flight zone? Is it a blind spot? Is it the area, or is there no name for it? And so you push A, B, C, D, E, F, G on your little pushers. I'll see when we get to 14. We're halfway there. 7 of you have responded already. Oh, that's okay. It'll just count your last one. It's really smart that way. So hit it as many times as you want. We're waiting on one person. Who is it?
That's me, right here.
Make your choice.
I don't know.
Do that one. Do that one.
What would it be for cow?
All right, here we go. 10, 9, 8, 7. Time's up. And if you look up in the this is called the edge of the flight zone. And so the circle, what they call, is a flight zone. And the flight zone is an area around the pig. It's an imaginary circle around the pig that says how scared the pig is of you. And so if I'm outside the circle, the pig doesn't care. He's looking at me and says, you're not going to hurt me. But if I walk inside of his circle, he's afraid of me and goes away. And so they call it flight. The pigs are afraid of you. Now, when you're at a fair, you don't want that flight zone to be like 20 feet, right? Because you want to be able to show your pig in front of the judge, keep them in front of the judge. And if the pig's really afraid of everything, I mean, with a big, wide flight zone, it's going to be hard to show them. And so how would you make your flight zone smaller? Any ideas? Yeah.
Maybe work with them.
Ha, maybe. What do you think? That's a great answer. That's exactly what you do. In fact, you can make a flight zone down to 0. You know how to do that? That's not so good either. Then the pig just stands there. Says, scratch my back. And you can use a brush, right? And you go in and you brush the back of a pig, and they'll follow you around and want more brushing. The flight zone goes to 0. But, you know, and so then it's hard to drive a pig because it's not afraid of you at all. But so you could lead the pig, you know, in the back up and follow you around. But if you scratch their back with like a brush, and some pigs really like that, and you can actually make them tame. if you spend a lot of time with a pig, and make the flight zone go down to 0. And so we've got 64% that got that one right. Handling pigs. When handling pigs, what should you consider? Which one of these, I mean, there's 3 of them that you should think about, and one that's really not that important. And so when you're in a show ring, you want to think about the flight zone, point of balance, breed and conformation, senses, sight, hearing, and smell. So which one of those do you not have to worry about in the show ring? Which one? So go ahead and do your answers, A, B, C, D. No idea. No idea. That's why you're here. You're going to learn. Do those at home? No. All right, we're looking for 14 answers. I got 11 so far. 3 of you need to answer. And it's going to be, timer is going to come on. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Put your answer in. Put your answer in. 1. 1. Polling's done. All right. Let's see what you said. All right. And yeah, now there's some differences in breed, right? Conformation. Anybody know what conformation is? That's what the pig looks like. How fat they are, how muscular they are, that kind of thing. And the breed, we're going to do breeds a little bit later if we get to it. But the flight zone, of course, you want a small flight zone so the pig's not running across the ring into the corner, right? You want your pig to be brave. In order to get your pig brave, you do what? You work with it. Yes. And the point of balance is the shoulder on the pig. If you're in front of a pig and you go into the flight zone, the pig will back up. If you're behind the pig and you go into the flight zone, the pig will go forward. And the tipping point on a pig is about at his shoulder. So if you're standing behind the shoulder, it's going to go forward. If you're standing in front of the shoulder, it's going to go backward. And so that's important to know when you're in the show ring, because you don't want the pig going the wrong way. You don't want to stand on the wrong side of him, right? You got to know where the judge is, and you got to know where your pig is, and know how to get the pig in front of the judge so the judge can see it and say, that's a good pig. So you want them to see. The other thing that a lot of people don't realize is that pigs will watch you. And do this at home, and if you try to walk behind a pig, they'll cock their head and turn a little bit so they can see you. They have eyes kind of on the side of their heads, so you can see almost all the way around, but they can't see right behind them. And so if you get right behind them, they'll cock their head and they'll say, where are you? The other thing, you watch pigs' eyes, you watch their ears, you watch their head. And if the pig's getting really excited, it starts to lower its head. If it gets too excited, it starts to lower its head, and its eyes will start showing fear and fright. You kind of know what that looks like? Like if you're watching a horror movie, that kind of thing. That'll be in a pig's eye, right? You got to watch the eyes. If you're getting them too excited, what you need to do is calm them down a little bit so they don't run into the corner on you during the show. So senses, the pig is always watching you, and that's one of the things that they do. So the answer, 48% got that right, is C. All right, here we go. So far, how do we end up with 4 teams? I don't know. And team 1 is like, uh-oh. Team 1 is my team, huh? Yeah. So the unicorns are ahead, looks like. Baconators and pork chops are right neck and neck. All right. So to make the animal move forward, I was just going to check to see if you're listening to me. You stand behind the animal's what? V trough, blind spot, territory, point of balance, center of gravity, or flight zone. Where do you stand to make a move forward? All right. 10 seconds. Not everybody's in yet. 12. 2 to go. 3, 2, 1. Time's up. And we'll see if you guys were listening. 52%, oh, more than half were awake and listening. You stand, remember I said the shoulder, you stand behind the shoulder, pig moves forward, front of the shoulder, pig moves back. That's called the point of balance. Animals should be forced to move fast. Faster than normal. Animals should not be forced to move faster than a normal what? Jog? Walk? Run? Trot? Hop or skip?
Oh, come on.
Don't move an animal faster than a what?
I'm going with C.
Don't move. These guys were ahead. Until, all right. Looks like people are in. One more. Who's the last one? You have 5 seconds. There you go. You're in now. And see what you guys said. You shouldn't, they shouldn't go any faster than walk.
Oh.
Whoa!
Good.
You guys are amazing. Somebody said jog. Not a horse. Pig. So you should walk the pig. Always walk the pig is the best way for the judge to see the pig and the muscling in the pig. All right. Most efficient, safe, humane method and tool to move pigs is your body, a loud clap, a shout, a sort panel, an electric prod, or a slapper. We're not talking about show ring here. We're talking about when you're putting them on the truck. Oh, there's no 10-second countdown here. All right, how many? Everybody in? That's okay. It'll only count you once.
All righty.
Let's see. Actually, it's a sort panel, the right answer. Let's see what we say here. Whoops. All right, so team racing scores.
What?
Baconators, 47. Pork chops, 40.
Oh, right in the top. We got it.
And then team 1. That must be the, which unicorns? All right, here we go. Let's see where the balloons go. Unicorns are in first place yet by a little bit. 62 to 40 to 47. All right. Not done yet. All right. So everybody can actually, you can determine how many points this last one's worth. And you can say it's worth 100% of all the points I have so far, or it's worth 0% of all the points I've had so far.
So this is Jeopardy.
Like Jeopardy, yeah. Did they watch
Are you
Jeopardy?
going to do a team daily?
I'm going with
So, yeah, we're in. All right. So here we go.
Well, why is it going red?
All right. Ready? The size of the pig's flank is determined by how close you can get to a pig before it moves.
Oh, why are there two blind spots?
Blind spot, flight zone,
Oh, wait a minute, yes it is.
blind spot, loading preference, territory, or reaction. Wow, we got almost everybody in.
Everybody got it?
Not yet. Everybody in? Press again if you don't think you got it quite. Push. There we go. Polling's closed. Let's see. Everybody got it right. You guys are like listening and learning a lot. Good, good, good.
Oh, yeah, we did.
All right, so
Oh, wow.
first run at it. We got the unicorns and the baconators and team 3. It's kind of goofy. All right, ready to do some more of this? All right, here we go. Which breed is red with droopy ears? Looks like that big. So they see how the ears are flopped down? That's how they kind of determine some of the breeds. Is it a Landrace? Is it a Yorkshire? Is it a Hampshire? Is it a Duroc? Is it a Berkshire? Is it a Spot? And we've got 12 people in. Waiting for, press your button again. Somebody doesn't press hard enough. You getting a green light? Somebody's battery died. All right.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Who told you? You guys just knew that? Really? Everybody knew that? Ooh, that is really smart. That's what. All right, let's. We're still doing teams. All right, how about this one? Black with white stripe. Did we get a green light?
Mine's on green. Yeah, mine's kind of red.
Yours didn't.
It was. Why did mine green?
Here you go. Try two.
It works. It did work.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Okay.
You said go to.
Read about it. What's that?
I get 0 responses.
Uh-oh.
Guess I'm push it again.
Everybody push your vote again. And hit read.
So what is this? What breed is that?
Ham.
It's a Hampshire.
Grace's is red. Yeah, mine goes red. Hers is red.
Okay.
Think about when you eat your red.
See, we got 100% again.
Oh.
I'm guessing the next one might be a little bit tougher.
Yeah, she's dead.
Whoops, 100%.
Yeah.
All right, and then the scores are kind of goofed up. But Baconators are there. I don't know what team 1 came from.
Yeah.
Wow, we're really close.
Are we through? I don't know. Oh my god.
Unicorns are still in front by just a little bit. All right, here's a
It's a little tough.
white breed. But the ears are pointy. Pointy ears up.
Mine's not.
I don't think it has, but it's going to be strange.
So what breed is that? Yorkshire? You're correct. Oh, maybe one or two people. What did you think it was? Berkshire? Berkshires are black. Yeah, that's all right. Yorkshire. All right, let's see what we got. All right, a couple more questions. What's not important to keep your pig healthy? Which of these is not important to do in order to keep your pig healthy? You should have a veterinarian, biosecurity, selecting the right breed, vaccinating them, sanitation, using medicines correctly. F is cut off. Not important. Oh yeah, you need to. It is important what you're saying. All right, let's see what we got. 10, 9, 8, time's up. All right, see what you guys said. Is it thinking? I hope it's thinking. There you go. All right, selecting the right breed right now today, but they are working on genetic immunity. I mean, they are. Someday that might not be true anymore. You might be able to select a breed that doesn't get perps. And the scientists are working on ways of trying to find animals that are immune to diseases. And so that's all part of the career that you can do in animal science is figuring that kind of stuff out. All right, so it's real important to work with your veterinarian, to know who your veterinarian is, to keep your pig healthy. Biosecurity, what's that? Yep.
Make sure no like bacteria comes in and you clean stuff and make sure stuff's not bacteria.
Yeah, well, there's bacteria everywhere, right? But you don't want the bacteria that's going to make the pig sick. All right, and so I've got some simulated bacteria right here. All right, and suppose this is the flu, right? And is your janitor gonna be mad? Uh-oh, the bacteria's on the floor. What happens, I need a volunteer, what happens if you step in that bacteria? What do you think's gonna happen? Volunteer, yeah? Go step in the bacteria. Wait. You turn off lights. And this is special bacteria.
And you can get the holiday Okay, yeah, and then hit this light. Okay.
Uh-oh. I need batteries.
Oh.
Turn the lights back on. You have double A's?
I've got another.
Bad.
I'm going to step to the bacteria.
All right, while we're waiting for that, we can talk about, you're going to step in the bacteria. Huh? Vaccination program? Does anybody vaccinate your pigs? For what kinds of stuff? Diseases, right? Yeah. What kind of diseases? Anybody know some diseases that they vaccinate? Herds.
Wormer.
And wormer. Worm them. Get rid of the worms. It's not a vaccination, but it's a good thing to do. Yep.
Parvo.
Parvo, yeah. Especially for the sow. Yeah. Yeah. What happens to the poor babies? They die if the sow gets parvo. And so it's very easy to, oh, it's gotta be infrared. It's
Oh,
gotta be the black light.
all right, so. what
Double A.
batteries?
Double A. Yeah, no problem. We're just talking about, lights. What other? What do you have to vaccinate for the fair? What do they make you vaccinate for? Does it start with an E? Somebody heard of erysipelas? Erysipelas? If you bring a pig to the fair that's sick, guess what happens to the rest of the pigs at the fair? They all get sick. So it's very important, if your pig's sick, make sure you leave it at home. Erysipelas is a bad disease. It makes little blotches on the skin. Some looks kind of like a diamond, and then they die. Yeah. Only pigs. Only pigs. No problem. Oh, wow, you got some. Good, thank you. Sorry about that.
No, how many do you need?
3.
What?
Send me a bill. I'll probably let you want them back. All right, here we go. See if we can get this thing going.
You think we smell this? Like,
It looks like. All right, lights.
Okay.
See what the germs look like under the light? And that's where I just put some. All right, what's your foot look like? Let's see. There's some germs in here already.
Yeah.
See, there's no germs really on her foot. Now go step in the germs. Stomp in there. Stomp on it. Stomp on it. Both feet. Now let's walk down the hall. Now watch. Get your foot up. Oh, you're tracking. Look at that. Pick your mother foot up. Oh, look at your tracking. Stop. There's more tracks. Look at where she's going. Right into the pig pen. Where do you think a pig's nose is going to be?
Right there.
Right there. You think a pig's going to eat that? Probably. And we tracked it right into the pig pen, like food, and that pig's going to get sick. And so you have to be careful.
All over my foot.
It's all over your foot, but it's invisible.
Nobody's
Nobody's going to know.
unless they got a black.
Unless I have a flashlight, then I'll be able to tell whose feet stepped in the germs. But your pigs will get sick. And so you've got to keep your feet clean when you go out to do shows. And so that means that you don't wear the same shoes that you wear to the veterinary office or the extension office to do chores in. You have to have changed your shoes. And if you want to keep yourself away from disease, they have little plastic booties to protect your feet, and so you don't track your disease back into the pig pen. Using medications correctly, you guys remember that you're producing food. Somebody's going to eat it. And if you don't use stuff right, somebody could get really sick. And so it's very important not to feed your pig anything that's not approved. And that would be common feed things, corn. And we give them corn and protein, vitamins and minerals, and the feed ration. And then we give them when they get sick, which if we're careful and not tracking germs in, they shouldn't get sick, right? But if they get sick, you got to read the label and follow the label, because if there's it takes a little time for that drugs to get out of the muscles, and if there's still drugs in the muscles, somebody might get really sick on your pig. We don't want that to happen. Never put anything in a pig that's not supposed to be in a pig. All right, so we had a good quitting point. Or do you want to keep on? You want to keep on a little bit? Or want to have a snack?
Doing pretty well. There are some more crackers I can get.
There are already
How
snacking.
about if you each team has to come up with 2 questions?
No, for this.
Uh-oh.
Each team needs to come up with 2 questions.
That might not work.
Okay,
Questions back at me. Maybe they'll be on the quiz some other day.
deep questions that will help you be a better swine producer. Maybe something about rationing. Maybe something about the current.
Meat cuts,
Yep, meat cuts.
health, how
Current
to keep
swine
them
health.
healthy, how fast do they grow?
Breeds.
Yes.
Okay, did you grow up showing?
Yes. Crawford County. I grew up in Edison.
Okay, our next, is, what made you want to get involved with swine, like as
It was a job. No, I don't like pigs. Aren't they cute when they're
Yeah.
little?
Yeah.
I always liked baby pigs. My research, when I was in college, I did research on sweepstakes. And so I like all animals. And they're great. Great question, thank you. Next question. You got a question?
No, you don't.
Oh. I'll ask you a question then.
Study.
Uh,
No, I might have.
Okay, that's okay.
What do you study in college? Basically, just stuff with
What the question was, what do you study in college? And when we go to college, it's a broad, right? At any rate, right now, it's a broad-based, and I took animal science, and that's actually a science degree anymore. And you don't have to go into swine production. There's like 50 or 100 careers that you can go out and do all kinds of things with an animal science degree. When I got done with college, I wanted to come back and farm, and it was in the 80s, and my dad had just bought a farm and couldn't pay for it. So I had to go either get a job or do more education. So I did more education, and I did a research project on eating roast steaks. It was really tough.
where did you study? What college?
Like cyclones. Are we in cyclone country here too?
Yeah.
But there's also Vikings and Spartans.
It's no Hawkeye.
Yeah.
All right, you guys, you got a question? Or I'll give you a
We
question.
answered everything.
No,
Give us a question.
there's lots of things.
It wasn't
All right, when the body's making protein, what's the code called that is used to make protein?
Yeah, that's our
We have a
question.
question. We have a question.
See?
We have a question.
Yeah, what's that?
2 words.
Forgot it.
It's a 2-word answer.
What's your favorite? What's your favorite thing?
What's my favorite breed?
Oh, you can
The good tasting one.
What's your least favorite?
No, I like yours.
What's your least favorite thing?
I didn't never like full and Chinese. I don't know why.
Another question.
Yes.
What's your favorite cutting pig? Bacon.
On an old fashioned pig, it has to be the rib chop. But
I also
on a really lean pig, it's bacon. Yeah.
So you're doing a lot of research now on the African swine. So where are we at with that?
African swine fever is a fever that was endemic. You know, guys know what endemic means? That means it lives there in Africa. And it's a virus that that basically it makes the pig have high fever. And it's really awful because the blood vessels start to explode. The fever gets so high. And so their ears turn red and their extremities just turn red right before they die. And it's awful, yeah. And the thing about this bacteria, the virus, is that it's very, very hardy. It'll live for, in proteins and blood, it'll live for months. And in Africa, they can't get rid of it because there's a tick that lives in Africa that lives in the pig, where the pigs kind of make their nests, and it'll live for years in that tick, years. And so it's a scary thing, and it lives through, if you take an infected pig into like a packing plant, it will not, the processing, like when you're having the Canadian bacon, won't be hot enough to kill the virus. And so there will be meat products. If you bring infected pigs into a meat plant, there will be meat products coming back out of that meat plant.
That's why it's so scary.
That is why it's so scary. And so there could be, if that was from China and it came from a meat plant that was infected, there could be African swine fever on the meat. That's a pig disease. Not gonna hurt us. We're immune to that. I thought you were. We're totally okay with
It's
that.
affecting a lot of trade and a lot of countries are really having to.
Yeah, it's spreading, and it spreads through wild boars. Well, it used to be just Africa, but it got up into Russia. And then when it got to Russia, it got into wild boars, and the wild boars go everywhere. And so now it's in Europe and China. And China, as they've said, China has killed millions of sows because of this disease already. I mean, the official report doesn't say that, but people that are over in China say it's a shipwreck for their industry. And they have 5 times more pigs than we do. 5 to 7 times more pigs than we do.
Is it a virus or bacteria?
It's real, guys. It's
It's a virus.
it's a biosecurity issue.
And one of the nice things about it is it doesn't fly. I mean, it doesn't go through the air. It's a big virus. And so in order to get it, you have to carry it to your pig. And so that's why the biosecurity is so important, not to track through the wrong places and bring it back to the pig. There is no, hopefully, there's no African swine fever in the United States.
Has this ever happened in Thailand?
Let's hope not.
Hope not.
Let's hope not.
We want to be aware of it.
Because it can be carried on feed, and we get 1 million pounds of feed in from China every year. Like, oh, oops. And tourists, if they're walking around out in the place that's got infected boars, wild boars, if they step in it and then they get back on the plane, and then they come back, and if they happen to be around people that go to a pig farm, it could transfer from their feet to your pig. And so you have to be careful. And people that go overseas, tell them to disinfect the shoes, please. Especially if they've been out on a farm or around animals that could have had African swine fever. We don't want it here.
One more question.
All right. What if I told you that lactic acid made the pork chops taste tough and dry? How do you make a pork chop taste? How do you pick out a pork chop that tastes really good? How do you do that? Anybody know the secrets to a really good pork chop? Do you want me to tell you the secrets
Yep.
to making a really good pork chop? Right. So the lactic acid makes, you can tell the pork chop had a lot of lactic acid by what color it is. If it's lighter color, like toward really light pale kind of color, lots of lactic acid. If it's a very dark color, very little lactic acid. So when you go to the grocery store, you pick out a dark pork chop to start with. And then the secret to making meat very, very good is you cook it slowly at low heat over a long time. And so you cook it like, whenever I grill a pork chop, I'll grill it on the side that doesn't have the direct flame. And I'll cook it for an hour. And you want to have a thermometer. Anybody know what the new internal temperature of a pork chop should be? Used to be 165. And now it's 145. You knew that?
Yeah.
Yay. A 145 is medium rare. It's a how you tell medium rare, it's pink in the middle. So you cook it and still pink in the middle. You use a thermometer and you let it rest for 3 minutes. If you don't cook it over 145, you pick out the dark pork chop, you cook it at 145, and you've never had a pork chop so good, ever. Your parents cooked the pork chops to well done. And the reason they did that is because it used to be in the old-fashioned pigs, they used to feed on garbage, which, by the way, we don't ever want to do now because we're afraid of African swine fever. But there was sometimes trichina in garbage. And trichina is a little parasite that if you eat raw pork and it has trichina in it, they burrow into your muscles and they hurt like crazy. And so people were afraid of trichina and they would kill pork. They would overcook pork. Everybody overcooked pork. And so modern pork, we haven't seen a trichina for years. And so the reason, anybody else, the other reason that you could, why can you cook steaks like to rare or medium rare, and you cook pork chops medium rare, but you don't want to do that with hamburgers? Why is that? What would that be? Here we go. The inside of the muscle is sterile. And so that's why you can have a medium rare steak with a pink center, and a medium rare pork chop is because all the germs are on the outside, and you cook the outside and it kills all the germs. No germs on the inside. Hamburger is all mixed together, so all the germs are mixed together. I would never eat a rare hamburger. Never. I mean, it might taste good, but the crackers, we used to do it when we were kids, we're lucky we didn't get sick. Because the germs would be all mixed in, so you gotta cook the hamburger all the way through. Cool, huh?
Okay.
So you go home and say, I want to cook the pork chop. You need to make sure you have a thermometer, make sure you get to at least 145 degrees. But you guys have been good. It's been fun. You guys have fun?
Yeah.
Good.
Go ahead. What was your question?
The lactic acid? Oh, E. coli? Oh, trichina? No.